This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated with another true crime story of insurance fraud. This true story, number 10, deals with the auto fraud. To a person intent on perpetrating an insurance fraud, two maxims become immediately clear. 1. Insurers don't care. And 2. Most adjusters and investigators wouldn't know a fraud if it presented itself to them wearing a sign, quote, "I am a fraud," close quote. Very successful, multi-million-dollar businesses were set up with those maxims in mind. The most successful is the automobile personal injury fraud. It exists in almost every metropolitan community. Each perpetrator of an automobile personal injury fraud varies the methodology slightly. Rather than isolated instances of fraud, they are run like a large corporate entity. The following are the categories of individuals involved in the automobile personal injury fraud ring, and they include 1. The recruiter. This is a person who worked in the community to recruit two different types of people, the victims and the insureds. They recruit victims from the ranks of the unemployed, individuals on welfare, or anyone in need of quick cash. The same sources provide insureds who may even include wealthy or well-off people who need cash to support their purchase of illicit drugs. The recruiting techniques are simple and straightforward. A victim is offered $300 to $500 cash to allow his name to be used in a report of an automobile accident. Sometimes they must actually sit in a car that is then struck by one of the recruited insureds. Sometimes they only sell the use of their names. In fact, depending on the insurer involved and the reputation it has for investigation of such claims, living persons are not necessary to play the role of victim. In such situations, the insured merely runs his vehicle into a stationary object, such as a parked car, a garaged wall, a telephone pole, to create damage to his vehicle. He reports that he struck the victim's vehicle in a private parking lot, and that the victim and 4 of his passengers are reporting personal injuries. All of the victims hire counsel. Almost always the victims hire the same lawyer who refers them all to the same physician or chiropractor. 2 is the dishonest lawyer. Depending on his experience, the lawyer either recruits the recruiter or is recruited by the recruiter. The recruiters usually watch the results of the bar examination and then make contact with a newly admitted lawyer. They advise the lawyer that for a small share of the proceeds, they can provide him with 10 to 20 new personal injury plaintiff cases every month. They claim that they have this source of business because they work as an administrator for a local chiropractic clinic or in a body shop. The young, gullible lawyer, either not realizing that it is a crime to pay a person for a case, or is so hungry for work that he or she ignores the law, agrees. The young lawyer never meets his or her client. He or she gets contingency fee agreements from the recruiter and medical reports reflecting the injuries. He then makes demand on the insurer, who has already received a report from its insured, who was paid to do so, advising that the accident was the insured's fault. The lawyer makes demands on the insurer for settlement. After a few telephone calls and copies of the medical reports, he settles with the insurer for between $5,000 and $10,000 a plaintiff. The lawyer keeps all the money less the fees of the recruiter, the victim, and the insured. The lawyer makes an excellent living, earning more money than he would ever earn on a salary for any law firm. He learns the trade and recruits his own recruiters to keep more of the money and to keep the cases flowing. Now, when a lawyer gets greedy is when that lawyer gets into trouble. For example, the people involved in a staged automobile accident claims are usually successful. In 2011, Robert Belshaw, 56, a Marina del Rey, California attorney, found himself sentenced to 7 years and 8 months in prison for his role in an auto insurance fraud ring that stole about $3 million. Belshaw was found guilty in March of 5 counts of money laundering and 3 counts of state income tax evasion. A co-defendant and ringleader, Solomon Morris Davis, 61, of Palos Verdes, also was convicted on 20 counts of insurance fraud and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 12 years in state prison. The ring staged accidents to defraud insurance companies. Prosecutors told the press that Davis set up Total Medical Health Care in the Mid-Wilshire area of Los Angeles under the name of his wife, Dr. Jody Hunter Davis, as part of the scam. She, however, did not practice medicine at the clinic and was not a suspect in the case. As part of the fraud scheme, the signatures of doctors who worked part-time at the clinic were inflated and forged to add to inflated billings. Davis recruited Belshaw to run a sham law practice that negotiated the fraudulent billings with insurance companies from September of 1999 to April of 2003. Belshaw failed to claim any of his earnings on state income tax returns from 1999 to 2001. Officials with the state franchise tax board reported. Belshaw owes the tax board more than $31,600 in unpaid taxes, penalties, interest, and the cost of the investigation. A restitution hearing was scheduled, and had Mr. Belshaw limited the number and extent of fraudulent claims, he would probably still be presenting fraudulent claim and earning a good living, because he got greedy, because he failed to report the money he earned from his criminal activity to the taxing authority. He is now residing in the Gray Bar Hotel operated by the state of California and can only wear an orange jumpsuit. Belshaw is just a small example of the hundreds of dishonest lawyers, doctors, and chiropractors who get involved in insurance fraud for profit. And he is one of the few that was caught and sentenced to prison. There are many more, and many cases. And this video was adapted from my book, Insurance Fraud Costs Everyone, which collects more than 80 such true crime stories to help you as a person interested in insurance, insurance claims, or insurance fraud, to recognize it when you see it, to report it to the proper authorities, and to cause those people to go to jail. I thank you for your attention.